Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the podcast today. Before we get going, I want to say something real quick. If you haven't given us a rating or a review somewhere and subscribed on YouTube, that's something you could do. I think you should think about that today. I think as you listen to this episode, you'll be like, they're wonderful quality people. Maybe I should take time to rate, review, subscribe, and share. So we're just, I thought I'd remind you of that.
Okay.
Because sometimes we say that at the end and I feel like people get all the good information. They're like, I don't need to listen to him tell me about rating and reviewing and subscribing and sharing.
That is funny.
But I thought I'd kick it off there.
Wow. What a unique and interesting start to our podcast.
Look, here's the deal. If you don't do that, stop right now.
No.
No.
Be
You're not
bossy,
allowed to
Justin.
listen. You're not
Don't
allowed
be
to
bossy.
listen.
You're not allowed to listen.
You go sit in the corner and think about what you've done. Hey, when I was a kid, the corner time, that was.
Is that what you had to do?
Well, I mean, every kid got
I
corner
didn't sit
time.
in the corner.
Go in the corner.
I did not sit in the corner.
I fell asleep in the corner quite a bit.
That mostly sounds like your body went into freeze. It was like, I'm alone.
No, you got
I
exhausted.
can't
No.
cope.
It's called. You're just like, oh, it's so boring. It's not like you can sit there and like flip on a phone while you're in the
Yeah.
corner.
Oh,
I wonder if adults got put in corners, what they would do. I wonder
they'd probably fall asleep.
Mhm.
And most adults would like it.
Yeah, they're like, send me
thank
to
you
a
for
corner.
a break for my
Send
life.
me to a corner. Anyways.
I have something about today's episode.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking about today's episode and I was remembering this one time where I was in this relationship and I was feeling super tormented about it. I was dating this guy and there was a lot of things that he checked off on my list that were really great and wonderful about him. But I just felt tormented about being in the relationship. And I had one of my friends who was like an older sister mom figure. She came in one day and said, look, we got to have a conversation. And I was like, okay, what? And she's like, I'm intervening. This is not okay. This cannot go on the way it is. You are clearly not happy. You're not at peace. You need to feel like you are powerful enough to leave if you want to leave. And that really impacted me. And sometimes you just need to hear someone outside of you say, hey, this isn't going well. And here are some of the things that I see that are concerns, and you can leave. And that empowerment, I was like, think of us like your older sister and brother on the dating journey when you're with people and you're like, is this a relationship I should stay in or get out of? We're going to help give you some clues if you need to get out.
Yeah. So we recently did an episode on when to lock it down. And if you haven't listened to that, you can go jump in on that. But this is when to unlock it down. I think that I've seen so many people come into my office where they got into marriage and they have a lot of deep regrets about going into marriage. And there's varying reasons for why that is. But oftentimes they were like, I didn't know. I didn't see the signs. Like if I had more information, more clarity about it, I wouldn't have gone forward into this thing that now is a lot more high stakes on my decisions, especially when you get kids involved and marriage, even if you don't have kids involved, it's more high stakes because you've blended families and all kinds of stuff. And so there's something really like beautiful about like, especially if you're in the dating season right now, or you're about to go into a dating season of your life, you having the tool to be able to have a little bit of foresight and wisdom to say, hey, this is a good reason to walk away or reassess whether or not I want to be inside of this. That helps you from having maybe deeper regrets by going further into it. And if you do go into a marriage, a long-term commitment, on the other side of dating after listening to something like this, it's more informed. It's like, yeah, but I knew what I was getting into. I had an awareness of that. And you own your decision a little bit more. I think it was a lot harder for people to feel like they had ownership over it when they're like, I didn't even have a clue.
I didn't even see the red flags.
Yeah. No, there was no map to doing this.
Yes.
But when there's a map, then you can be like, well, I can hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's so helpful to kind of just look at some things that are clearly signs that you should walk away. And I kind of think of there's kind of 3 different ways that people date. I mean, there's probably 1,000 ways, but in my brain, a simplistic way is there's people who stay too short. Like their pattern is before things can get too intimate or too connected or too hard, they jump ship and they run on to the next one, the next one, the next one. Those are the like perpetual daters who are jumping ship early. Then you have the people who stay too long in relationships, which is they see the potential in somebody. They see how great they could be. They see how much pain they've been through. They're like, I can be the one safe person for them. Or through time, they'll transform and heal. They're the people who like see all the red flags, but don't want to leave. And then there's a middle group of people that are like, they are comfortable. And I think it takes a lot of emotional security and emotional health to be in the third group, which is I'm comfortable dating and I'm comfortable being alone. And so I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt in order to grow intimacy. I'm not going to jump ship too fast, but I also am going to leave when I need to leave so that I don't get damaged and I don't damage the person I'm with.
Well, one of the things that you talked about really quick there is the idea that locking it down isn't high stakes. In order for us to actually get clarity on what isn't working well, we have to not feel the high stakes need to go down the aisle or go to some form of long-term commitment.
Right.
Because when you're like, no, this is a thing that's going to make me happy.
I have to marry them.
I have to marry them. I have to
not be alone.
Yeah. When you have that as a driving force, there's a lot of times you turn on your blinders to your eyes and you go, well, I can deal with that. And you start negotiating internally with things that are blaringly like, your friend group will be like, it was blaringly clear there was a problem here. It was a blaring problem. And you're like, I didn't see it. But it's not that I didn't see it. It's that I chose to ignore it oftentimes.
Well, I don't think it's a conscious choosing to ignore
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Like, I think we when we have a really strong need or desire, like I can't be alone or I can't move forward in my life until I have a relationship, that need can silence our red flags and silence our discernment.
Exactly.
And so when we're being driven by our fear of being alone, we can get into relationships that aren't as healthy and we can stay in them longer. And I think that's hard. I think a lot of humans are scared of being alone. That feels so human. That's one of the things I've had to work on the most in my own life. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she was saying that she was terrified to be alone, and she serial dated for a lot of her life until she got the voice in her head to be a kind voice instead of a critical one, until she made friends with herself. So now the voice in her head is kind and loving towards her. And she said, so now I can be alone and I'm not scared.
Yeah, it's that idea of like the person I spend 24/7 with is my greatest advocate or cheerleader. And so there's that comfort that settles into I'm not actually alone.
Yeah.
Like if I am my own teammate, my own greatest advocate, I don't ever have to truly be alone inside of stuff. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. And I will say, when I was dating, I was terrified of leaving for a few reasons. I was scared of, I'm never going to find someone better than this. And so every time that someone broke up with me or I broke up with them, the fear was, this is going to be the best that I can get. And I just like to break that lie for people. If you are on a growth journey, you're going to continually attract better and better fits, people that are more compatible, people that have the same core values as you, people that are growing the same way as you. And so the fear of this is as good as it gets is just that's a horrible settling lie to choose.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. It's not just that I'm not going to get anything better. I'm not going to get anything else.
Right.
So that's another fear of it just anything, scraps.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to get scraps. I'm going to be the one single person left in the world. And then all of a sudden they start thinking of all the single people that haven't settled down. And they're like, I will be one of them.
And so they're like, I'll hang on to this because it is good enough.
Correct. And we can always find examples to prove our point. Like if you want to believe like, oh no, like you can find someone if you really want someone and you have that belief, you'll pick those people out of the crowd consistently.
Yep.
And so you have to really decide in this process, what am I going to choose to believe about the possibilities of my life? Because when you have an abundant mindset, which is what we're really talking about, when you have an abundant mindset, you have an ability to walk away from something, having peace, knowing that you're going to be fulfilled in life and get whatever it is that you need.
Now, again, if you're listening to this, you got to know your tendency, because if you have an abundant mindset, so you just keep jumping, you might need to have a mindset that is like, I want to go deeper and get richer and actually feel more connection and face my fears and let love in.
Yeah.
So I think both of those are so important. But one of the things too is I always thought breaking up was kindness and it was love to the people that I was with. And I know a lot of my friends who struggle breaking up with people, they're like, this is going to hurt them so much. And I don't want to do that. And
I thought I could be the one person that could love them well.
I never wanted to disappoint them. I wanted to make up for all the pain they've been through in their past. And so when you have that mentality, you feel trapped. And I always thought, if I feel like something's off, or if we're in a cycle that is unhealthy and I can't break that inside of myself, then breaking up with you is kindness. It's love to you, because I think other people are worthy of somebody who's fully present, who's fully engaged. I've worked with so many people that are dating someone, but they don't fully like them. They're dissociating from them a lot. They're avoiding them a lot. They have all these coping mechanisms, and I can see their partners are being hurt over and over and over again. I'm like, it actually hurt your partner less just to break up with them than it is to string them along, giving them scraps.
This is where I want to add this. It's a little off topic, but it's on. When it comes to the physical aspect of relationships, a lot of people expedite physical intimacy because there's culture that says,
sure,
you're on date 3, you should be having sex, right? And the integration of sexuality into a relationship, especially expedited in that manner, oftentimes creates a lack of clarity on whether or not you're the right fit. So you have this deepening of emotional connection through the sexual exchanges that happen, because sex is actually meant to be a bonding act between two people.
Sure.
Right. And so you have this sense of this deepening of this bond. And then you're like, yeah, but we're so close. I mean, I know you're telling me there are these signs and stuff, but we're just so close regardless of all that stuff. And for people to take into consideration, how am I managing my sexuality, my relationship? If you think deliberately about that, it may redefine how you approach the sexuality in it. And then that may redefine how difficult it is to see clearly what you want and what you don't want. And it may redefine how easy it is or isn't to actually step away from something.
Yeah. Now, if you're in that situation, I mean, that's a lot of my friends are already in a situation where they're like, I can't see clearly. I don't know what to do. And so we're going to give you guys some very clear, definitely get out for these things. And here are some other reasons that I'd recommend it.
Yeah. You want to kick off?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to start with the absolutely not list.
Oh,
the absolutely not. Think of me as an older sister saying, these are things that you absolutely should not put up with. So the first thing is people who are yelling at you, cussing at you, blaming you, throwing temper tantrums, threatening to abandon you, calling you names, being disrespectful of you, any kind of behavior where people are not treating you as a good human. You know, like you want your partner to treat you the way they should treat their sweet old grandma, you know, like with kindness and respect and tenderness. If your partner is hardened and cold and mean, that is an absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. I have had so many people write into me and they'll message me. They'll send me screenshots. They'll like send our clips to their boyfriend or their girlfriend, and then they'll send me back their responses. And I've been shocked at some of the responses that they've had. Obviously, they're defensive and feeling put on blast when they get sent the relationship reel. But some of them are so mean and so demeaning and so blatantly like a jerk.
Yeah.
And people will say, how do you think I should respond? And I'm just like, I mean, I'd never be in a relationship with somebody that talks to me this way.
Right. You'd respond with, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. There's no reason for you to treat me like this. I won't put up with this. I have more worth than that. I'm just not going to do it.
And I think a lot of people grew up in homes where they were yelled at or cussed at or blamed or disrespected or dismissed. And there was crazy behavior. So a lot of us get used to that kind of treatment, but that is not okay. And once we're adults, we never have to put up with that again.
Yeah.
You never have to be in a relationship with somebody that you are feeling is abusive or disrespectful or mean. That's just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you have a couple others?
Yes. Do you have one that you want to do?
Yeah. They ghost you whenever they want is one of those. I think that's like, that's another word for that feels like stonewalling.
Uh-huh.
So whenever you just want to disappear out of the picture completely, put up walls.
All of a sudden communication goes silent for her. You don't know how many days. You don't know why.
And there's no ownership for that. Like,
Nope.
hey, I know that I went internal. I pulled away. I'm so sorry. I want to clean that up, because I've seen a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
They just pull away and they're like, they show back up and they act as if everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not normal. That's not okay. You need someone who will choose to engage the relationship. And if there is a disengaging that happens, it's on deliberate, healthy terms.
And it's communicated.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I know that there's a lot going on inside of me that I have to work through for a moment. I'm going to have to take a break from this relationship.
I need like a couple days
and
to
I'll check
process.
back in. Do you need it to know anything else before I do that? You know,
Yes.
that's called being a healthy adult.
100%. Yeah. Stonewalling or ghosting, I think, is a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Kind of behavior. It's a little kid behavior, and communication is so important in a relationship. And it's a disrespectful thing. It's saying my needs matter so much, but your needs don't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to find a way to bridge our two needs. Like, I'm not going to find a way to communicate and let you know where I'm at and what I need. I'm actually just going to peace out. That feels disrespectful.
Yeah, it feels dehumanizing, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I'm not treated with the sense of I'm an actual human on the other side of this with some level of dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them is they do things that they know hurt you without apologizing or caring or trying to change their behavior. So there's things that you've done that you knew were hurting me, but you were trying to change your behavior.
Right.
And I think some behavior takes a long time to change, but you were actively working on it. You're going to therapy. You were processing with me about it. You were repairing after you did it. You would take ownership. I'm so sorry I did that. That's not okay. I don't want to live like that. That is very different than I know this hurts you and I don't care.
Right.
So I had
the indifference.
Yeah. Indifference is a painful experience. I'd rather be rejected than have somebody be indifferent to me. It feels way worse. And I have this friend who their dad was an alcoholic and they had a lot of triggers around alcohol. And they were dating this person that was like, I want to drink. And they're like, well, this is really triggering for me. Now, I actually think you should be allowed to drink and she should be allowed to have it be triggering for her. If you guys are going to be together, then you would need to find a core value where there's safety for both people, where you can actually feel like, oh, I won't drink around you, or I'll let you know in advance on the days I'm going to drink, or I will drink less. But if you have somebody,
or I'm not drinking until I'm belligerently drunk and incapable of functioning, and there's like limits in a healthy relationship
drinks
with the management of the alcohol.
Yeah. But in this relationship, their partner was like, I don't care that this hurts you. This is who I want to be. And I'm like, when you know that that's one of your core wounds, and somebody literally is like, I don't care that this is one of your core wounds, because, and the truth is I have compassion on them. Probably one of their core wounds was being controlled.
Yeah.
So I can see the humanity in both people while still saying, absolutely not. That is not a person you want to be with. If they care more about their rights than protecting your heart in major areas. Now, obviously that's not across the board, but in major wounds, then that is a thing that you'll never feel safe.
Yeah.
Guess what we just did?
What did we just do, Abby?
We created the connection cure. And I think this is the thing that I'm most excited that we've ever created for people, because it is all of the years of courses that we've made, making it available in one monthly healing membership where you get to be connected to people who are going on the same journey as you, while getting access to all of the things that we have made: relationship glue, reclaiming you, the compassion project.
The Father series, Living Fully Alive, the Regulation Library.
Yes, we have so many things that we've created over the years. We've had over 10,000 people do our courses. We've met with over 4,000 individual clients. And now we have brought all of it together so that you could have access to all of it for less than one counseling session a month.
Yep. And what's really cool is that monthly we have live connection calls where people get together and have those connection moments, talk about what they're going through, how they're healing in their process. And that's been one of the number one things that people have said is so incredible about doing our courses is the community that they create and the healing that takes place inside of that community. I mean, we've had people find their spouses,
find their best friends, find their community, because finally there's people where they realize I'm not alone and I'm allowed to be loved right now in the messiness of my life before everything is fixed, before everything is perfect. You can belong before you have transformed. You can be loved before you're fixed in this community. And it is really rich and beautiful and healing. We're meant to heal with each other. And the whole point of why we made this is so that people could have a holistic healing pathway. We do so much with connecting to your body and actually learning how to move with your body through emotions so that things don't get buried alive in your body. The body keeps the score. We want to zero that score out. And then we have heart connection stuff where you're actually feeling empathy for yourself and others, where you're actually connecting to your own story and you're actually having time to not just learn logically about why you do what you do, but actually have new feelings towards yourself. And then we have all of the logic, the neuroscience, all of the reasons why your body and your brain do what they do so you can actually understand yourself for the first time and start to have kindness towards why your body is made to react the way it is so that you can heal. It's body, heart, and mind all together in a way that is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool membership because you get to stay as long as you want or as short as you want inside of it. You're not trapped inside of it, but you have access to an incredible community and great information. And so that is coming soon. You can go to Justin and Abby, that's abi.com, and you can get on our mailing list there, and we'll let you be the first to know when we release that. But this is something we've been planning for a while now, and I'm glad we're getting to do it.
It's about to come out.
I think another one is you can't stay respectful inside of conflict. Like, look, conflict is messy. We all find ourselves at some level entering into levels of disrespect. And that looks different for every person, what disrespect is. But there is this sense of when you have no ability to manage yourself and it's a consistent behavior of going towards disrespect, then that to me is like, nah, can't do that.
Because I want to be realistic. If you're going to date somebody long-term or be married, you will have conflict a lot. That's just
that's
true.
Normal.
Yeah. And so you've got to be like, is the way that we do conflict something that won't break my soul down over time? If you're thinking we're going to have to do conflict sometimes multiple times a week for the rest of my life, is the form of conflict that we can do something where I can still thrive in my life and still enjoy my life? Or am I going to shrink? Or am I going to become mean? Or am I going to shut down? Like, who am I going to become if our conflict stays like this? That is something that you've got to take into consideration.
When you have dating couples where like early on in dating, they're already feeling like
explosive.
Yeah, not only explosive, but the disrespect in the conflict is so big that it's actually shutting down who they are. I'm like, this is just the dating process. You haven't even crossed the threshold where people expect to be, in something long term. There's not like this long term covenant idea on it. It's just this person can't manage themselves well.
Yeah.
inside a conflict when it's this low a stakes versus
Mhm.
like when it's this big a stakes, right? And so that to me, I'm like, if that's a sign that's coming up inside of dating, I'm like, why would I try to work this out further? Why not
Absolutely.
start at you know,
Ground zero,
yeah,
some kind of neutral place.
some sort of neutral place.
Now, obviously, we have had to work through conflict for years.
Yeah, we've had really disrespectful conflict with each other.
Yeah, and
throughout
we've
the years.
done some of the absolutely not behavior, you know?
Yeah.
We've yelled at each other. We've cussed at each other before. We've said the relationship was over.
Yeah.
And that's why we say that that's a no-go.
Yeah,
From
like,
experience. It
if you're in the
creates
dating,
chaos
why even at the dating process,
level.
why drag yourself further into that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I will say is if you have a partner and you and your partner are equally running after emotional health, not because you're making them, but because they genuinely have the core value of I want to become like love. And if you're both doing that, it's still very difficult if you have bad behavior.
It is. You know, but if there is humble hearts on both sides,
100%. Repair is possible.
Both are sitting there being like, I know I'm messy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to figure out how to not be messy. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be challenged. I want to face myself on this stuff. Like, all right, there's hope for it. You're going to go through a lot of struggles, but there's hope for it.
Now, what I will say is that leads me to one of my other absolutely nuts is people who apologize but don't change their behavior. Because exactly what you said can happen a lot. People can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was so messy. I just blamed you so much. I just yelled at you. I did these things. I just ghosted you, all that stuff. I'm so sorry. That's not who I want to be.
And then crickets.
But if there's not a plan that they make that is, I figured out what my core wound is that is creating this behavior.
Or I'm working to figure out what it is.
Or I'm working to figure it out with a counselor or mentor. And I'm figuring out what I need to do to change that behavior. And I'm accountable to my friends about it. And I'm accountable to you. Like there has to be, and then there has to be something where you actually see them do the work and they actually consistently are doing the work, because somebody who apologizes repetitively but does the same behavior.
And this isn't about changing to appease your partner. It's actually someone who goes, I have a value for becoming more like love.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something that exudes out of me, kindness and gentleness and patience and goodness. And like when you have someone that it's their heart to do that, and then they're taking these strategic steps, then you're like, well, I know that at the core of them, they're not just doing this for me. They want to evolve as a human onto this thing over here that they've cast vision for. And I think that's another part of it, is being able in a relationship to find out like, who do you want to become? And I'm not, a lot of times we go, who do I want to become? Do I want to be like a well-known entrepreneur or something like that? I'm like, no. Who do I want to become is the essence of who I want to be from my core. What do I want to be expressed from me in the way that I relate to the humans all around me?
Oh, yeah.
And so conversations around that, like when these types of things are blowing up and you're seeing these signs, finding out like, do you have a vision in mind of who you want to evolve into? And when they're like, no, like I've never even thought of that. I just want to get through this fight.
Right.
Oh, we're probably not on the same page.
Totally. Yeah. I think that this is it's a very painful experience to have somebody authentically apologize and you feel like seen by them and you feel connected to by them. And then they do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's human. It's human nature. Like there's a lot of things that I did that hurt you repetitively. I'll talk about something very lighthearted, which is cleaning. Like it really affected you how messy our environment was. And I regularly was leaving my stuff out. And it wasn't because I was like, I don't care about you. It was because I had deeply ingrained patterns and habits around messes. I grew up in a hoarder's home. So there was a lot of emotions for me around cleaning, and was ADD. And on the autism spectrum. So I had just a lot of feelings around cleaning. So it did take me years And we're not trying to say that growth and transformation is possible instantly with people that you're dating and that they can magically just, hit a wand and be like, oh, I'll never do the thing that bothers you again. But there is something where there's like a kindness and empathy towards the other person. Like, I'm sorry that this is impacting you so much. And I am wanting to grow. And I'd say throughout the years, I'm the cleanest I've ever been. I'd say probably still not your dream clean.
I mean, like, because of our relationship and the way I've evolved, we've both evolved. I'm like, whatever.
It's not something that's causing you pain anymore.
No.
Yeah. But it did cause you pain for a while.
Yeah, it did. It was total chaos.
And I was trying to grow. So I think that's the point, is that I'm saying there are going to be things that you have in a relationship with somebody where you want them to change and they're not there yet. But things like yelling, cussing, hitting, ghosting, demeaning, disrespecting, doing erratic things. Like I had one friend that would message their partner's friends, shit talking them whenever they got mad. Like those kinds of behaviors, you don't have the wherewithal to spend years seeing if they can change that or not.
Yeah. And that just feels exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, why should I exhaust myself at this level when this person is behaving in this manner? Again, if we don't have fear about the potential of finding another mate, it's a lot easier to be able to step away from that.
Yeah.
And the question is you might be hearing yourself on this list and you might be like, I really need to go
change some things
inside of me and check some behaviors. That's great. Like, you're not bad. You're not evil. You're just like not ideal to be married to in this type of behavior.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, like, there's areas where I think both Abby and I were not ideal to be married to in our behavior.
Absolutely.
And we had to look really hard at those things. As once we got in marriage, again, it was more high stakes for both of us to walk away from it. And so, and I think that if the two of us hadn't been committed to growth and change, we both would have stepped away from the relationship.
When we should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been, if we were not committed to growth, it would not have been a healthy relationship to stay in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the less high stakes things.
Yeah. Let's get to the more, now these are more nuanced. So these are things that it's harder to like fully pinpoint, but it's important to actually say. Now, I will say the other one that we didn't cover is sex addiction. If somebody is cheating on you regularly, if somebody is, that is an area that you need to feel safe. That's what I'll say. You need to feel safe with their sexuality. And I'm not going to go into this long because that is such an open can of worms because everybody is different. But you need to be able to feel like you and your partner have the same core values around sexuality.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a world where I would have stayed in a relationship if when we were dating, you cheated on me.
Yeah.
I would just be like,
I guess that's what we're talking about.
I don't want to start from ground.
Yeah, from below.
From negative on this situation. It's already hard enough if you're committed for a while and you have connection to deep connection to go through that type of thing. So,
yeah.
So with that said, do you have like...
Yeah. I one of the things that I really struggled with in a couple of my relationships was starting to feel like I just couldn't be myself. I just wasn't completely honest. Like I just wasn't able to just be me. I was kind of losing myself a little bit to fit into their world. And it felt like to be me disrupted our connection too much. And sometimes I was just too scared to be me. Like maybe they didn't feel accepting enough for me to be me. Maybe they felt judgmental. And so I felt like I needed to be something, an image for me to fit with them. But that feeling of, I just feel like I have to be on when I'm with you. I feel like I have to have my guards up. That is a feeling that now I can look back and I'm so thankful. When I met you, it was like instantaneously, I can be more me.
Yeah.
There was so much less judgment. There was so much more freedom. There was so much acceptance that I was like, oh, I can share the things that scare me with you. I can show you the things that I am ashamed of. I can be honest in a way I've never been honest before. And that is a great sign of a relationship, is that you're actually feeling safer to be yourself than you've been before.
Yeah, that's really good. One of the things that I also think is a really good thing to consider is that the majority of your conversations with your friends are about how difficult the relationship is. Like, I've had people when they're in the dating process come into my office over and over again, and they're just like, and I understand that my space, like when I'm
is
there,
to process.
is to process.
Yeah.
But then I would ask, I would slowly poke and be like, yeah, tell me about some of the really cool things where it's thriving, just so I can get a perspective. And they're like, oh no, it's this all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you realize that you just told me you've been telling me for weeks now about how difficult this relationship is with them. And then when you tell me about your conversations with your friends, all your friends are like, maybe you should break up with this person. I'm like, this is dating. You're not even consistently celebrating this thing. Why does this feel like this is a good idea to go long term? And I feel like that is a huge red flag. That's like,
But you know what? I understand it. And here's why. Because when I was dating, I had so much fear of commitment that I purposefully didn't let myself break up for a little bit when things got hard, because I was like, I just run when things are hard. Like it's so easy for me to want to jump ship. So I would purposefully hold in a pattern for a little bit longer than maybe was necessary, but it was because I knew my own pattern was to jump ship too fast.
And that's great self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Is like, you're aware that you need to actually stick in, and maybe you found it was easy for you to find problems.
Yeah. And I knew that like all relationships do have hard things.
Yeah.
And you go through hard things with people. And so it's very complicated when you're dating, being like, is this a hard thing that's just normal? Or is this a hard thing that is a red flag that is telling me? And I think that some of those are really hard to know. Like I had a friend their girlfriend's mom died when they had just started dating. Well, that's going to throw a huge amount of emotions into their relationship and a huge amount of high stakes. So that was hard for them to navigate. Does that mean they should have broken up? No. But there was hard things that was heavier than what they imagined dating would be. And so there are circumstances and situations like that. But there's a lot of times where it's just like your conflict style, your personality compatibility, your core values are butting heads against each other over and over again. And that's
well, I think when you pair that with consistently feeling more anxious around them than having peace.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's also a sign, right? Like if I'm constantly having conflict, and that's the conversations I'm having with people, and then when I'm around them, I feel this anxiousness. And then I feel like this peace when I get away from them. Like for me, I had a relationship where every time I got away from the person, I was like,
and that's when you knew.
Yeah, I was like, what am I doing in this?
Because you actually felt relief.
Well, my body was telling me something, right? And when we're connected to our body, and I wasn't connected to it back then, but I wasn't realizing, my body was like, I'm on edge every time I'm around this person. I'm waiting for some sort of meltdown, or I'm feeling my autonomy is being totally violated, or I'm feeling like I have to be someone, like you talked earlier, someone that I'm not, or hide parts of myself. And so when I felt like I could suddenly breathe and a 10-ton weight was lifted off my chest, that's where I was like, this is no good.
Absolutely. I think that that's such a good tell. And that is something that I definitely paid attention to as well. The one thing I will say, the caveat on that one, is you actually have to have been dating long enough to hit the point where you could feel relief with somebody. Like if it's just the first few dates or the first few months, you might still feel relief when you're separate, because you're still trying to figure them out and you're still trying to be yourself around them. And that can take a little bit of time to warm into. But past a couple, like 2 months, 3 months, you should be feeling comfortable to be you.
You get into 2 years and you're like breathing sighs of relief when you run to the like grocery store.
Oh, well, I was literally saying after like 2 to 3 months, you should have gone past that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking for new daters, you don't want to jump ship too fast.
Yeah.
You might still feel nerves and nervous energy because you don't know each other yet.
And it's good to ask the question, why am I anxious?
Mm-hmm.
Why can I not find peace?
Mm-hmm.
And are there things that I'm aware of that are happening that are perpetuating that?
Yeah.
And also, I think being able to have a conversation with someone when you're in this area and be able to tell them like, hey, I notice that I feel pretty anxious around you. I notice that I feel like I'm not able to show up in the ways that I want to be, like in who I think I authentically am, and kind of begin to explore that conversation. Can they receive that well?
Mm-hmm.
Are they someone who's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Is there something that I'm doing? Could I respond better? Like if they get curious and want to know, excuse me, and want to understand, that's really helpful in trying to figure out how to navigate that.
Oh yeah. Okay, here's one of the ways that I knew I needed to break up with boyfriends. It was when I would start to feel attracted to other people, or I had an imagination of a man in my head that I was like, there's someone out there that's better than this. And that I knew myself enough to know that it wasn't like, I was not very boy crazy. So it wasn't like I'm just always attracted to other people. Because some people, even when you're in a fulfilling relationship,
you're always looking outside of it.
Yes, that's just your kind of coping strategy in life, or what you've trained your brain to do. However, for me, that was not me. And so there were several relationships where I found this is so funny. I found myself at the grocery store flirting with the butcher.
The butcher.
The meat slicer.
Meat man.
The meat man. Show me your meat, man. And I remember walking home and being like, not walking home, but walking out of the store and being like, why did I want to do that? Why did I need to do that? And it was because some part of me knew I want out. I want out of this. There's something I'm missing. There's something that doesn't fit right. Now, again, you have to know your tendency, because some of us are just wanderers, and that's how we deal with all of life's pain, and we try to escape through that. That was not my typical escape. I typically stayed in relationships longer than I should. So it was my brain trying to let me know, hey, there's something that doesn't feel right here. And so you're already trying to find a right outside of you to fix that. And so I broke up with a couple boyfriends because of that. And you know what happened?
Butchers, meat men.
You know what happened though, is when I met you, it's like that all faded away.
I stopped flirting with the butcher.
I stopped flirting with the butcher, but I also, like, the guy in my head that I thought that I should keep waiting for, like, was gone. I was like, you are as good in a lot of areas as the guy in my head is. Now, I will say, when we got married and as we were going through things, there were different times that I felt drawn towards another man. And whenever that happened, I checked in with my heart and then could recognize, oh, there's a need going on that I need either to get healing with it or counseling, or we need to talk through in our relationship. And so that actually helped us several times. There was one time that I was like, oh, I'm not actually handling the amount of anger in our marriage well. And so we got into counseling because of that. So I'm not saying that attraction to other people is always a sign you need to get out of a relationship, but in dating, if you are finding that if you're consciously looking because you want out, then you need to pay attention to, why is it that I'm trying to get out?
Yeah. And why stay inside of something when that's going on? Like, to me, you're only feeding your own ego to stay inside of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really considering the other person. No matter how messy they are, you're not considering like, hey, I'm already wanting out. Why don't I just do them a favor, throw them a high five and say, great time. Glad we did this. Glad we can land it now. I'm going to go beyond about your way, like release them.
Yeah.
To move on.
I agree.
One of the things that came up in my mind was the idea of relationships. Like when people don't have depth of relationships in friendships and stuff like that, or they can't maintain relationships and they're constantly falling apart, to me, that's a really telltale sign of like, this might not be a good thing, because if they can't manage those relationships well, and they always have excuses for why everyone's terrible and why it didn't work out, why these friendships are all failing them. You're going to be in that category of the person that failed them. And there's something about potentially the way that they're relating to them that they're going to bring into this relationship and throw that same grenade at you as they are with other people. And so that's one thing, is like seeing people with deep bonded relationships. It helps know, like, okay, they have the capacity for longevity. Maybe you're like, oh, I met their friends that they've been friends with for 10 or 15 years now. When they do make new friends, people often say really great things about them and how they relate to them. And
not only that, but how do you talk about your exes? This is one of the telltale signs to, can you have healthy relationships and see humanity in a nuanced way? Because if you hear that every one of their exes were the villains and they were horrible people, then that means multiple things. Either that's their perspective and they'll put that filter and project on you, or they are attracted to villains.
And you are a terrible villain. You need to reassess your life.
Yes. Or they can't see the good and the bad with people. And oftentimes it also means, if you're saying every one of your exes was the problem, that often means you're not a self-reflector. You're not taking ownership for your role. You're not seeing that relationships are a dance between both parties.
Yeah.
And I do think that there are times when our partners do really destructive things. And so it's not that we're not talking about that, but it's how they talk about that. It's how they talk about people who've hurt them. It's how they talk about their past relationships. If every friendship drama they have is because other people are idiots, then you can hear that they don't take ownership. They're not aware of their own impact.
What you want to hear from someone is, when they reflect on any relationships, romantic or friendships alike, is they're able to say on the messy ones, like, yeah, I could tell that this is something that I brought to the table and this is how I added fuel to the fire. And I really caused a big mess in this way. And they did X, Y, and Z. And when they explain it, again, it's not like they're a villain. It's even matter of fact language. Like when they talk about past relationships, that just happened. Like they would get into fits of anger. I would go into flight and I would shut down and avoid, and we'd get in this bad cycle, and it just was what it was. It's not, they were a terrible, crappy human being. It's that humanizing process like you were talking about. And it's that sense of nuance inside of it. And you want to look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you will always be the villain of someone's story who makes everyone else their villain.
100%. You will become the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one more reason that I broke up. It's so funny how many people flash in my head as we're having this conversation of people that I've dated and reasons I broke up with people. And I feel very happy that I broke up with the people I broke up with. But one of them is that you're changing in a way that you don't like. And so I think about things like, there's this one guy I dated, and he loved guns, and he loved fishing, and he loved like a bunch of activities that I don't actually love. But in the relationship, I was trying to change to like them with him. And I could see myself, like the things I loved, slowly drifting away and being like, I don't even like these new things. Or things like I have a friend who was dating somebody who was really emotionally shut down. And I'm not villainizing that being emotionally shut down is a horrible quality, but for her wounds, it was so painful that she got angrier and angrier and louder and louder. She'd never been a yeller. She'd never been an exploder. But it was because he was so cold and disconnected. And I'm like, you're changing in a way. I don't even care if he's right or wrong for you. The change you're going through inside of yourself is not worth this dating relationship. I have another friend who was dating somebody who was just explosive randomly. Like they never knew when something was going to go off. And so it was like walking on eggshells. And I started watching their personality, where they just were like really, really careful all the time and really trying to be perfect all the time. And you start to see people shrink inside of themselves when you're in a relationship that feels unsafe in a dramatic way. then you have to do things to protect yourself, whether that's like kill yourself inside of you, like shrink inside and hide or shrivel or quit shining or quit being funny or quit being fun or quit hanging out with your friends or whatever the things are that make you alive and make you feel like yourself and make you feel joy and passion in life. If you're having to shut off the things that you love about you to be with them, it may not be a good relationship. And if you're having to walk on eggshells, it may not be a good relationship. And if you can't remember, and if you have to lose all of your friends and family, if you have to lose your close relationships to fit with them, then that's not a good fit. Now, if they're super healthy and their whole world is super healthy and you realize you want less of your toxic friends, that's a different story. But the idea is that you're aware of, do I like who I'm becoming more with this person? I liked who I became with you. I became way more powerful. I became way more confident. I felt prettier. I felt like my voice mattered more. I felt like I had more to offer the world. I felt like I could do more than I thought I could do. I felt empowered. I felt seen. I felt protected. I felt challenged. I had more faith. Like I felt more alive. I felt like I accepted myself more. I felt more comfortable in my skin being around you. And that is what you're looking for in a relationship. Do I feel more of my authentic self or do I feel less of my authentic self? And that is a good cue to you on, is this a healthy relationship for me?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the authenticity and becoming your most authentic self. One of the things that helps that come out is when you have shared values.
Oh, yes.
So oftentimes people don't have the same core values. And when you don't have the same core values, you're constantly actually shutting down versus coming alive. And
it's so true.
There was similar core values that we had that would fuel the ability for us to fully express ourselves, who we were. Who we wanted to be. I felt like, you had a value for encouragement like I did.
Aww.
And so there was a lot of encouragement. And so I found that a lot of my playful, goofy side would start to come out, and it allowed me to express myself in ways that I wasn't expressing myself with other people because there was that sense of acceptance.
Oh, yeah.
And we both had a value for figuring out how to accept each other and encourage each other inside of that. But if you don't have the same core values, and that's something you need to develop inside of yourself. Do you know what your core values are? If you do not know those, then you're going to have a hard time figuring this out. But once that's there, you can look honestly and be like, man, we don't match up on any of the core values that I hold dear.
I was thinking about this. I have a friend, and everybody's core values are different. But one of her core values is, when there's a sex scene on the screen, are you consumed by it? Or do I feel like you still care more about me than what you're witnessing? That was something that she needed to feel safe. He had struggled with pornography a lot. She didn't feel safe with that. So for her, this was a really high core value. And that was a core value that he just didn't have. He's like, I like watching movies. I like the sex scenes in movies. I enjoy that.
So you're saying that the guy felt like he was like consumed with that?
Yeah. Like that was like, he really liked that part of it and wasn't willing to find ways to help her feel safe inside of that.
Right.
So the next guy she dated was very different. Just like that wasn't like, he didn't really care. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't have to, that's not the most important part of a movie to me. And I'm happy to, it wasn't like she was like, look away every time there's a sex scene. But his whole mentality around it wasn't protecting his self-interest there.
Right.
So they had a core value. The way they had core values felt like they were aligned. So they weren't constantly fighting. In her past relationship, they fought over and over and over again because she was trying to get him to have a core value that he didn't have. And he was frustrated that she wanted to change him. And so they just hit the wall over and over and over again. And those are things I think you have to wrestle out. I think you have to go through a couple times. Like, can we find a middle ground for our core values? Because there's a lot of core values we had that were similar and lots that we had that were different.
Yeah.
And so I think the dating process, I think she did a great job of trying to learn and grow and understand him and have compassion and be curious, and then also figure out what she needed And then could they find a middle ground?
Right.
And they could not.
And on that note, one of the things that I feel like might have been happening is that he didn't have an ability to empathize. And when someone doesn't have an ability to empathize with the reality of how something might be impacting someone else,
Yes.
that to me is one of those like signs that like this might not actually be a good relationship, because empathy is what actually helps us get into someone else's world, and it helps us operate out of other-centered love, not codependency, right?
Totally.
But other-centered love that says like, no, I really want to love this person well. Is this something that's worth yielding? Like the conversation around how he delighted in sex scenes, I guess is the way, but I don't know how else to look at that. But the way his sexuality showed up, he didn't necessarily like from this 30,000 foot view, look at it and go, oh,
that's really hurting her.
This is really hurting her. How does my sexuality impact a partner in a romantic relationship? Does it have an effect? Is there actually ways that I need to reflect on my own sexuality, you know? And it's not bad if he didn't. I'm just saying that empathy changes the game in all of it.
Absolutely. And
right?
empathy is one of the things that would trump most of the red flags that we've talked about. Because if you can empathize with somebody, you actually want to change because you don't want to hurt them.
Right.
You know, but I'm thinking about that situation. And a lot of times we are in reactions in our core values. So I think about the guy she was dating, and I imagine he grew up in a really strict religious home. And so when he got out of that home, he was like, I want to be able to watch whatever I want to watch and no one can tell me not to. You know what I mean? And so my guess is he was reacting to his mom trying to control him when she was saying, this is what I need. And so you can see, oh, this person is reacting to feeling controlled. This person is reacting to feeling like they're being hurt and unseen. If you can break that cycle and choose each other past your reactions, okay, great. If not, then it's just like, yeah, where we're at currently in life, we're not compatible. And I think ending a relationship because you're not compatible is so healthy. It actually feels good to your own soul, because when you end a relationship for any reason that it's like, I'm respecting myself to end this, or this doesn't feel compatible, or we're in toxic cycles together, or I'm becoming a worse version of me anytime, or I can tell that this is not right and my body is saying no. So I'm going to honor that. Anytime you break up for one of those reasons, it is so powerful inside of you, because it communicates, I respect myself. I have hope for my future. I believe that there's better out there. I believe in myself. I believe I'm worthy of being the authentic version of me. There's like a self-love connection that happens inside of us when we break up with something that is diminishing us.
Yeah. I like the word not compatible, because it takes the element of a value assessment out of it. Because that's one of those biggest hurdles of like, I don't want to be assessing someone's value.
Are they good enough, or are they too bad for me?
Yeah.
No, it's just we aren't compatible.
Yeah. It's not. And I don't know why that's so difficult for people to get inside of relationships. I'm not judging them, but a lot of times, like, it is the biggest stronghold in stepping away is that monster right there.
Oh, absolutely. If I leave, I'm saying they're bad.
Yeah. Instead of just the matter of fact reality, like, oh, we're just not compatible. I thank you for the time that we spent. I've like learned a lot about myself and what I want and what I need inside of this. And I appreciate what you've given to me.
Yeah. And even not compatible doesn't even have to be forever. Like, we broke up a couple times.
Yeah.
I would say that we weren't compatible with where we were at in life.
Yeah.
But the breakups were very honoring. I was able to say, I really appreciate all of these things that I've grown in because of you. And you were able to say, these are the things I've really valued about our time together. So we could kind of respect each other and then end it, instead of growing to hate each other or be resentful of each other because it wasn't right in that season.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have anything else?
No, I think just the compassion. I think breaking up is hard to do. I think it's scary. I think it makes sense why people avoid it. And yet a lot of my life got better. Almost every time I broke up with someone, I had more self-respect. I had more self-love. I had more self-belief. I had more awareness of who I authentically was. I learned more about my core values. And I allowed breakups to throw me into healing and becoming more of myself. And so I actually found that every guy I dated was a healthier relationship for me than the guy before. And I want to just leave people with that hope. If you decide to leave a relationship you're in, there is hope that you will have a better relationship in the future, that you actually have control over your future, over your love destiny, because you can actually change your beliefs, what you're worth, and your relationship skills and attract healthier connections. And that is possible.
I think that this is, I think it's very possible that people listening to this are going to hear that they're the person that should be walked away from. And you're going to hear yourself on this. And I think if that's the case, instead of shame spiraling, you should actually go into a place of acceptance. Like, I hit the list on almost every one of those things that they said were a red flag and a reason to walk away. I can either decide that I'm a bad person, or I can decide right now that I've got some growing to do inside of this. And I think that these destructive tendencies that often are red flags, they aren't even the truth of our being. So a lot of times people are like, all you want to do is change me. Well, this isn't authentically who you are. These destructive elements that usually cause breakdowns in relationships, they aren't who we are. They're our survival mechanisms inside of us. And so if you're listening to this and you're that person, you should start, or you exhibit these behaviors, you should start asking, what are my survival mechanisms that betray me? They're actually my way of doing life, my freaking out, cussing, yelling, being obstinate, vilifying, doing all this stuff. Like, it's betraying me. It's not it's not actually helping me to feel more safe, more loved, more cared about. And I need to, if I look honestly at that, I can get liberated from it.
Absolutely.
And the truth is that every human being was made in and through unrelenting love.
Yeah.
And so at the core of us, there is a beautiful, wonderful human being, an innocent child that is filled with goodness and kindness. Like, your being, the essence of who you are below all of the broken things that we see on the outside. You are kindness, you are gentleness, you are patience, you are peace, you are these elements. And it's kind of like going on a treasure hunt. And it's like, I'm going to take a shovel and I'm going to start excavating and getting rid of all of this stuff that's hiding the gold within. So it's not about you're just too screwed up. It's about revealing who you actually are. So I wanted to say that for some people, to give you hope. Who you truly are isn't these mechanisms.
Yeah. And likewise, if we had if your partner or you were on the absolutely not list, that doesn't mean you're absolutely not worthy of love. It means you need to learn some skills so that you're not hurting people that you love in really damaging ways. And like I said, we both have had behaviors on the absolutely not list.
Yeah.
That's why we're passionate about it, because it did destroy people and it did hurt people. And we want to set up the world to have some standards. And I just think some people were never taught you're allowed to have standards.
Yeah.
And we also have to hold ourselves to standards. A lot of the things that I look for in other people, I am also holding myself to be accountable in as well.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I've already told you guys to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
Hit the bell button. Follow us on YouTube.
I imagine if you've gotten this far, you've done those things, because I told you weren't allowed to listen unless you did it. So
you know what? We've said this a couple times on our podcast, to come comment on our Instagram or our Facebook if there's something that you liked in listening or really caught you or whatever. And I've had people start doing it, and it's making my heart so happy. So if that's you, it's a great place to connect.
That's great. Well, I just burped. Don't know if anyone heard that.
All right.
I'm going away. Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.